Students, let's see occupational or industrial hygiene. Industrial hygiene is the science of protecting and enhancing the health and safety of people at work and in their communities. Health and safety hazards cover a wide range of chemical, physical, biological, and ergonomic stresses. Those dedicated to anticipating, recognizing, evaluating, and controlling those hazards are known as industrial hygienists. Okay, now occupational hygiene. Occupational hygiene, United States industrial hygiene is the anticipation, recognition, evaluation, control, prevention of hazard from work that may result in injury, illness, or affect the well-being of worker. Okay, industrial hygiene and occupational hygiene are same. Okay, but it's industrial hygiene is science and occupational hygiene is actual work. Okay, what is the difference between industrial and occupational hygiene? Okay, none really. Both are same. The term industrial hygiene originated in the USA, while in the other parts of the world it is known as occupational hygiene. In some ways, the term occupational is a better description, as health risks occur in all places that people work, such as industrial places. Okay. Who is the best hygienist in the world? Mother River. Okay, medical professionals, doctors. Okay, so interactions between the people and the environment without preventive components. Okay, without preventive components, industrial diseases, diagnosis, treatment and cure, and healthy person. Okay, with environment prevention with preventive component, just see this: diseases, diagnosis, treatment and cure, healthy person, environmental healthy, preventive control measures, then recognition and evaluation of problem, and environment. Okay, occupational and hygiene versus environmental hygiene. Okay, this see this important thing. Occupational and environmental health are strongly linked by the source of the health threat is usually the same. Common methodologies, particularly in health assessment and exposure control. The contribution that occupational epidemiology makes to knowledge of the effects of environmental exposure. The effects that occupational disease has on well-being in the home and the community, and conversely the effect of environmental pathology on worker productivity. The hygiene, the scientific need to consider the total exposure in order to determine dose-response relationship. The efficiency in human resource development and utilization gained by such a linkage. Improvements in exposure controls decisions stemming from the broader view, greater consistency in standard setting facilitated by the link. The fact that linking environmental and occupational health enhances the incentive for rectification of hazards to both the workforce and the community. Okay, occupational hygiene and environmental hygiene. Definition: anticipation involves identifying potential hazard in the workplace before they produced. Recognition involves identifying the potential hazard that a chemical, physical, biological, or adverse ergonomic situation poses to threat. Evaluation means evaluate the extent of the exposure. This often involves measuring the personal exposure of a worker to the hazard or agent in the workplace and understanding the PPE that currently used. Compared to SDS recommendations, including occupational exposure limits where such criteria exist. SDS is Sustainable Development Goals. Control the elimination or reduction of identified and measured hazards. Use the hierarchy of controls to eliminate or reduce hazard. So, objective is to protect the health and well-being of employees by eliminating or reducing health hazards that arise from workplace environment. Occupational hygienist, the person having a college or university degree or degree in engineering, chemistry, physics, health physics, nursing, medicine, or related field by virtue of special studies, training, experience, and or certification has acquired competence in different hats. RH wear many different hats, sometimes as a scientist, investigator, trainer or educator, technician, policy enforcer, engineer, emergency responder, and more. Role of occupational health physician: main authority and plays important role in every aspect. Expert advice for solving occupational and environmental health issues. Medical surveillance advisor to management, important role in biological monitoring, research gap identification, analysis of toxicity and health data. Historical event of environmental hygiene, let's it go. Why is occupational hygiene is important? Good occupational hygiene benefits workers and industry alike, resulting in improved worker health and increased life expectancy, right? Reduction in the number of people who leave employment early through injury or illness. Lower social and healthcare costs, as well as maximizing worker potential and more efficient working processes with technological improvements and increased productivity. Okay. Benefits of occupational hygiene program. What are the benefits? Benefits are improve health and hygiene, reduce compensation, improve job satisfaction, reduce absenteeism, improve productivity, and improve workers' attitude towards management. Importance of occupational hygiene. Understand the industrial hygiene is recognize its importance in the workplace. Identify ways industrial hygiene helps protect you. Help promote industrial hygiene on the job. Methods of occupational hygiene to protect workers on the job: investigation, recommendation, research, anticipating and controlling, training, advising, and enforcing. Okay. Types of health hazard are common in workplace. Hazards are biological, chemical, physical, ergonomics, blood-borne hazards, radiation hazards, psychological and organizational hazards, natural hazards, social hazards, cultural and practice hazards. Hazard definition: hazard, a biological, chemical, or physical agent that is reasonably likely to cause illness or injury in the absence of its control. Pathway of exposure: okay, air, water, food, animals, people, surfaces. Okay. Rate of exposure: it has been estimated that about 70,000 chemicals are used worldwide, and the chemical industry introduces. Okay, so rate of exposure is there. Significant route of exposure: inhalation, skin and eye absorption. What does skin notation means? And ingestion and percutaneous. Okay. Inhalation, there are some problems in inhalation. Inhalation is the easiest and fastest means of exposure to toxic substances, because toxic substances are readily absorbed in the respiratory tract. The lining of the respiratory tract is not effective in preventing absorption of toxic substances into the body. The respiratory tract consists of the nasal passages, trachea, windpipe, larynx, voice box, and the lungs. The criteria: the following factors that inhalation of toxic substances: concentration of toxic substances in the air, solubility of substances in the blood and tissue, respiratory rate, length of exposure, conditions of the respiratory tract, and size of toxic particles. Okay. Ingestion is another problem. Is skin absorption of some toxic components. Factors affecting dermal absorption of toxic substances. Dermal problems that causes absorption of chemicals and irritants. Okay. Other common routes are eye. From eye also some toxic metals or conditions or others, they can go and cause some problem. And through ingestion also, many drugs they cause injections and injuries also. Okay. So type of exposure, there are so acute, chronic, or subacute or subchronic. These are the exposures. Chemical hazards are irritants, respiratory, eye and skin, asphyxiants, CNS agents, specific organ agents, genetic activity, and acute versus chronic. Okay. Recognition of chemical hazards. So what we have to do: odor. Not all agents have detectable odor. Frequent headaches and dermatitis, drowsiness, personality changes, and cluster of problems. Okay. So anticipation of chemical hazards. These are some problems. MS disease and others. Occupational hazards. Okay. Irritants are also there. Aspergents are some chemical air chemicals, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, helium. Okay, chemical aspergents are carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide. Biological hazards are these biological hazards are some problems in the workplaces. These are contact with living organs, with tick, flea, or mite bite. Okay. Physical hazard definition. Physical hazard is a type of occupational hazard that involves environmental hazards that can cause harm with or without contact. Physical hazards include ergonomic hazards, radiation, heat, cold, stresses, vibration hazard, and noise hazards. Okay. Physical hazards are workplace, dust, fiber, noise, heat stresses, cold stresses, ionizing radiation hazard, non-ionizing radiation hazard, vibration, corrosive. Okay. Examples of physical hazard: safety hazards. Okay, HIVs, hepatitis A viruses, vibration hazards. There are some vibration hazards are also there. Sources of HIVs, HIV tags, preventive measures. Okay, exposure. Preventive measures we will see in. So preventive measures are identifying jobs, then determining whether there is some problems and vibrations. Okay. So these are some problems. Exposure standards. Heat stresses is also some occupational problems. Okay, heat stress includes a series of conditions where body is under stress from overheating. Heat related illnesses include heat cramps, heat exhaustion. Okay, heat rash, skin, heat stroke, each with its own symptoms and treatments. Symptoms can range from profuse sweating to dizziness and cases of sweating and collapse and all other stresses. Okay. Preventive measures are acclimatization, some workplace schedule, workload, and all other things. Okay. Cold stresses are there, indoor air quality problems, health effect, indoor air problems, industrial ventilations problems. Industrial ventilation, so types of ventilations there are: supply systems, natural ventilation, exhaust ventilation. Ventilations problems are there: local exhaust ventilation, air conditioners, difference between exhaust and supply. Economic hazards are also there: physical hazard, awkward position, repetition movements. So these are all psychological hazards are also there. Organizational hazards are also there, natural hazards. So these are all the hazards you have to see this, and environmental some problems are also there. Okay. To control is elimination, substitution, isolation, administrative control, engineering control, and PP. Okay. So these are the important things you should note. Elimination, design it out. Substitution, use something else. Engineering controls, isolation and guarding. Administrative controls, training and work scheduling. Personal protective equipments. Okay, these are the some important control measures for environmental and occupational industrial hygiene. Okay, these are some problems you should see. Okay. This is